Good day, our students. We hope you are doing well and you're progressing well in your preparation for IELTS. Welcome to our lectures where we'll be helping you with the IELTS preparation. I'm still your host, Miram, from Educational Center, TOPjargan. Let's start. Lesson number 10. Today we are talking about writing skills, especially how to prepare for essay number 1. If you haven't watched previous lectures on how to prepare for essay number 2 and about general information on writing skills, please watch previous lectures, lecture number 8 and number 9. So let's get started. When we talk about essay number 1, it's quite similar in terms of criteria which actually assess our rating, similar to essay number 2. So we have 4 of them. As you remember, in essay number 2, it was task response, but here we have task achievement. What's the difference? When we have task achievement, it means you have specific tasks, yeah, you have to achieve, because essay number 1, it's not argumentative essay. You are not asked about your opinion. What we need to do is just to analyze data and give our thoughts and describe thoughts, not in terms of opinion, but thoughts in terms of how we analyze our data and just describe what is given. We don't add anything extra, okay? So if we achieve everything, we describe data, we highlight main information from the data, we compare where it's relevant, we get high score on task achievement. So cohesion and coherence, it's still the same as it was for essay number 2. It's how well we connect words, phrases, sentences, and paragraphs. How easy and in a logical way, well structured writing of in our essay. So lexical resources and grammatical range, it's like vocabulary and grammatical structures. So here, I would say that in essay number 1, vocabulary probably is more specific in comparison to essay number 2, because when we talk about data, we have specific verbs, adverbs, and adjectives. For example, if we talk about verbs, it's like to go up, to increase, to decrease. So we have some specific vocabulary we have to know. That's very important. We'll be talking about later. And when we talk about grammar, so keep in mind the time, if it's like present tense, past tense, or future tense. If we are giving infographics which tells us specific time in the past, for example, in 2020 or something like that, we'll be using only past tense. But if we have projection to the future, like this data will be like this, will have this value in 2030, so we will be using future tense. Okay. So let's talk about the structure. Structure is slightly different from essay number 2 because it's not argumented. We don't have conclusion in the way we have it in essay number 2, but instead of it, we have kind of overview. It means we just briefly paraphrase everything we've written in like our first and second paragraphs. To say it in other words, in first and second paragraphs, we talk about like details, about numbers, about trends, and so on. But in overview, we tell maybe with 1 or maximum 2 sentences only the very like general, the very important information from like this first 2 paragraphs. And introduction, just like paraphrasing, you don't add your opinion, but you can add some information from the graphs you have, maybe some data or names of axes like X and Y, the labels, I mean the variables, etc. So you can put overview here in this position between introduction and main body, or you can put it in the place of conclusion here in the like last position. It's totally fine. There is no specific requirements. Let's have a look at the real example. This is a real example provided by Cambridge textbooks. Please read carefully the task. They write everything you need. Don't invent a bicycle. Don't like make creativity just to be an obstacle on getting a high score. Just help yourself, okay? Just follow the instructions. So you have many minutes, you have at least 150 words, and they ask you, summarize information, select, report, main, features. They ask you not to write exactly every single data point. They ask you combine, understand what's important, write about this important part, and that's it, okay? And make comparison where relevant. It's not necessary. If you can say that you can compare this three variables like blah blah blah, then you can compare it. If you think it's not relevant, probably you don't do it, okay? So again, as an example, let's analyze local fixed lines, UK telephone calls, right? So we have like years, 2002, 1980, 1995. Please don't write, for example, blah, 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 the value in each year. Let's do a quick exercise together. So probably the main kind of data point is like starting, beginning, yeah, then ending, and then probably the peak. And then everything which is between the beginning and the peak, it was just increasing. You can skip it and write with like one word, and everything else from here to here, it was decreasing. That's it. You have three data points, and then you have increasing and decreasing, okay? It's a good exercise. Try to write and describe the variable of this graph and give your writing to read to someone else. If they can understand how the graph looks like, but by just reading your writing without looking at the graph, it means you have good like writing, okay, good description. So here's an example. As you can see, we have like introduction, we have overview, and we have three paragraphs in the body. Again, this is like official example by Cambridge textbooks. So you can just have a look as an example. You don't need to copy, just get the idea, right? So they used the following logic. They described variable 1 in the first paragraph, variable 2 in the second, and variable 3 in the third. It's quite straightforward logic, but you can use your own logic. You can have only one paragraph in the body, or you can have like two or more, but it has to be very reasonable. It has to have some logic behind it, okay? So I think that's pretty, this is quite pretty like good approach. They just split the variables like in like 1, 2, and 3, okay, in 3 paragraphs. Okay, so as you remember at the beginning, we talked about the vocabulary, importance of the vocabulary for essay number 1. It means that in essay number 1, since we describe, it's more like a report, you know, like analytical, academic, scientific report where you describe. When you describe information, describe data, you use verbs, adverbs, adjectives. So we have to boost our vocabulary just to describe better and like more precise and like in a more efficient way. Here are examples. Just for example, you have synonyms of verbs which describe like to going down data, yeah, to go down, to decline, to decrease, to drop. Like adverbs. So we talk about the degree, like significantly, suddenly, sharply, and so on. And we have adjectives, yeah. Again, we're describing the degree of change. If it was like modest, steady, or slight. These are just examples to illustrate that actually we have to learn a lot of vocabulary to ace on writing essay number 1. Next one is accuracy. That's very important. When you describe data, numbers, be accurate. When you say nearly, about, approximately, be very specific, be very precise. That's the very important criteria to get high score on IELTS writing essay number 1. For example, if you have that one variable is like just slightly less than another, don't write just variable A is less than variable B. Use adjectives and adverbs to help you to talk about this degree, if it's like slightly or significantly less. Okay, and again, I'd like to highlight the task achievement. So task achievement is like, so we have to analyze data given to us. So we have two directions: data analysis, where you just analyze this data and you understand bigger picture, like trends, and you understand details, right? And we have comparative analysis, where you compare data points between one another where it's relevant. If you think in this direction, you will get high score on IELTS essay number 1. Thank you for joining and good luck in your preparation. See you in the next lectures.